The Irish Survey of Student Engagement, now in its 5th year, asks students about their experiences of higher education. It provides an increasingly valuable national data set on how students engage with their learning environments. The survey explores the amount of time and effort that students put into their studies and other educationally purposeful activities, and also how effectively institutions facilitate, encourage and promote student engagement in activities that are linked to learning. To highlight the potential of the data as a resource for academic staff, we look at how it's being used in individual institutions and organisations.
There's no other data set that's available that actually gives that sector-wide view from students of their assessment experience. It just isn't there. And we know from our work that every institution is like its own sort of kingdom. So unless we actually have all of the data, then you don't know whether it's an institutional kind of quirk or whether it is actually something that's actually transferable. And I think what the Dizzee Data set does now, especially as the data set has grown, it gives us the confidence to be able to say, well, look, this is the assessment profile that students are reporting back across these disciplines. What does it mean? And how should we, as a programme or as an institution, or even as a forum, actually use it? And we're involved in a project with the HEA at the moment called Student Success in and Through Higher Education. It's everybody's business. So we're trying to promote the fact that if we want to have student success, the academics, the students, the support services and the administrators all have to work together. And I think Dizzee Data can help us to do that. So what we try and do is to in partnership with Dizzee itself, is to actually invite academics in, break down the data into manageable chunks, and then ask them to look at it through a teaching and learning lens. So one of the examples that happened, so for one discipline, we had one discipline in, and we were looking at critical thinking skills. And we noticed in the data set that year 1 and year 4, there wasn't a huge difference between the level of critical skills that the students were reporting. And I knew from looking at the rest of the data sets, the other disciplines, that this was unusual. So I asked the question, why? And they thought about it, and first of all, they said, oh, it's the data set. But then we reassured them that there was actually enough data there that this was actually the case. And then they started to think, well, maybe it's the way we've set up our modules. Maybe what we're doing is giving our students more of the same level, rather than actually in 4th year, giving them the kinds of modules that would encourage more of the critical skills development. And that conversation actually ended by this group going back to their institutions and saying, we're going to have a look at that. We're going to have a look at this in terms of how our programs are set up. And I think our job in the forum is to enhance teaching and learning. And I feel that by encouraging them in this way, and by supporting them, and by making the data accessible, we're doing our job. In terms of strategic planning around data itself, internationally we know that learning analytics, data analytics is coming down the track. And I know our institutions across the sector are actually starting to engage with it. So the forum has spent the last 9 months finding out from the sector where they're actually at and developing resources from them. But then we had a thought about it and said, well, actually we can't stop here, because we actually need to help the sector itself to develop a strategy about how they're going to use their data to support student success. And one of the key data sets in that is the ISSE data. So we've actually set up a national partnership. We've got a national coordinator who over the next 18 months now is going to work with individual institutions, looking at their data sets, including ISSE, and actually helping them to develop a strategy about how they can interrogate their data to be able to support student success. And the project's called Dizzee, and it'll be rolling out from September of this year.